We're going to start with the position of the past. I meant to get 2 cards for each position, and we clearly see that there's 3 that are turned over here. So for the past, we have a total of 5 cards. We are going to discover what these turned over cards are together. Let's go ahead and get started with the first 2. Page of Cups and 7 of Cups. Well, in the past, we may have been very open to figuring out how to make a different decision. This is the work that a lot of us started. The work of therapizing, the work of consulting ourselves, the work of learning how to be confident in making a decision, how to adopt the identity that would allow me to see what's in front of me and decide with ease, decide with confidence, to speak with integrity and to act with integrity. This strong Scorpio energy here with the 7 of Cups, it demands that you transform something. It demands that you say, even if you don't know exactly what this identity is, remember that you have the power to transform and transmute this. Above all else, you are always the inner alchemist. So really, this journey here, we may have actually feared this because the page is like, it's that initiation into, but it's still a bit, it's still trying to figure out how to be more open to what the world has to offer. So I am picking up that some of us may have been hesitant to become the person who had the identity of, I can choose, I'm confident, I can make a decision on the spot, I can hold to it, I can say no, I can put up boundaries and actually exercise them. That can be really scary for a lot of people. But I see here that a lot of you were trying not to be scared of that. However, if that fear was present, that's clearly what we were meant to look at. It's the fear of becoming the person who could do those things. Because if we're scared of being that person, that means we're scared of what will result from acting as that person, adopting that identity. So what's going on here for enough of us is that we realized that while we kept putting our foot in the water, maybe we kept figuring out different ways that we can heal, different ways that we can access, different ways that we can practice divination. We were stuck because we didn't actually want to be the person who would experience the consequences of choosing themselves. Now, let's go ahead and see what these other cards are here. Let's turn them over. Okay. All right. King of Wands, following. The Chariot. And then 4 of Pentacles. You did it anyways. You did it anyways. You took the risk. You took the risk. Okay? There's something about some of you going from conflict avoidant to approaching conflict, wanting to approach conflict. Because you realize when you were conflict avoidant, you weren't addressing the issues that were showing up within yourself. And you say, you know what? Actually, when it comes to diversifying my interest, when it comes to figuring out different ways, I have the knowledge. In fact, I have is gumption the right word? I have the grit to give myself a shot. Even though I've been really scared and maybe I've been held back for a long time, maybe some years, you still ended up becoming the King of Wands. The person who likes to diversify their interests, the person who likes to be seen, the person who likes to make a solid decision. And because you're able to do that, there's that transformation of water. You now felt confident to exercise your willpower to move ahead. In fact, this card can talk about daring to leave behind what is known, allowing society to fall back behind you while you are moving forward, and feeling confident being seen, feeling confident moving forward. In fact, there's that inner alchemist right here, the King of Wands. You let them out. This is fire, this is light. And do you see the void here? You allowed a light to shine through, and that was enough to dispel an illusion, to dispel the darkness that we're in, to dispel the excuses we may have been making for ourselves that we can't do it. Meanwhile, you proved yourself otherwise. And what came at that risk, you see how society is still behind us again? What came at that risk was you experiencing solitude. In that solitude, though, there have been methods of recovery. There have been clear changes, tangible changes in your world. Whether you define them as good or bad, there have been clear changes. But those changes, that separation, that removal from spaces that thrive off of what no longer resonates with you, if I can put it like that, that removal from it is what is actually allowing for you to have security, to have boundaries, to have bandwidth, to have the space to breathe, honestly. So this, in the position of the past, we essentially see that we struggled. Let me do it like this. We struggled at first to accept the outcome of choosing a different role. We recognized the fears that come with becoming somebody else, yet you did it anyways. Okay, good for you. Now let's see what's going on in the present. 5 of Swords. Pair with the 10 of Wands. You have a choice here, and you know it. You can engage in the infighting. I'm hearing infighting, especially because there's a 5 and a 10 here. You can engage in the infighting. You can keep trying to prove yourself to people. You can keep wasting your breath or utilizing it for yourself so you can take a deeper breath to show up for you. And you can move on. I can fight, or I can move on. The fact that we have 5 swords here, though, and the 5 of Swords can really promote the idea of needing to be right. We may be in a stage where we have evidence. We've collected enough evidence to show that the path that you chose, especially with the Chariot, as the King of Wands, was the right one for you. Are you going to try to over-explain yourself again? Are you going to expose yourself to spaces that includes platforms? This is air, okay? This is communication, it's social. Are you going to engage in those spaces that require you to spend your energy engaging in those transactions? Or are you going to pack it up? Pack it up and take the harvest for yourself. Yes, this can seem overwhelming. Yes, the idea of being selfish, constructively selfish, can feel overwhelming, because that's what I'm picking up from this 10 of Wands. It's like just not engaging with people, not sticking up for myself. Listen, for some of you, this is about trying to figure out how to stick up for yourself. But it's, you see, paired with this 10 of Wands, it looks like enough of you have the option to disengage and mind your business. There's so much to take away from minding your business than there is to take away from this 5 of Swords. The desire to be right is what this was about, which is ultimately the desire to control outcomes, to control situations, to control perceptions. I feel like, okay, I need to say this. Some of us still think that once we have a big breakthrough or have a major mystical experience or we find that aha moment, that healing is supposed to end. There's this language around healing. There's this language around just like living a good life where we're thinking that our paradise means that we never face any more issues. The paradise is remembering that you don't have to do this, that you're allowed to disengage, that you do not have to constantly prove yourself to people. All this work you did to show up for yourself, to be the person who actually chose an identity that works for you, and it manifested as you showing up as this King of Wands who then had the audacity to make a choice for themselves, push themselves forward, reap the rewards of that. I think for some of you, this is like, because you see, there's people here, but it's just you here. So I wonder if what we're going through in the present is trying to figure out our communities. Maybe we're trying to sift through the wheat and the chaff, if I may phrase it like that, to figure out who's safe to us. Because if you're encountering people who are trying to tell you to prove yourself to them, I think automatically that lets you know they're not open to making space for you in the way that you know you need. This Seven of Cups can also talk about emotional patterns, okay? And with emotions, there are narratives attached to them. So in the present, we may have an opportunity to see what emotional patterns are still attached to certain labels, certain identities. You maybe are someone, now you're someone who has more wealth, more abundance of knowledge, more of something. Of course, people are going to contend with that. Of course, they're going to try to fight you for that. But I feel like the main resource that you're missing here is energy. This is energy harvesting for enough of us. Energy harvesting. And you are constantly engaging in that transaction of an energetic hemorrhage when you do this infighting. I mean, with yourself for sure, and your body being your most humble servant, that usually promotes as sickness. Okay? When we start attacking ourselves, when we start saying we're not enough, when we start devaluing ourselves, it starts to feel like our body experiences some form of devaluation to us as well. This right here, preserve your energy. The energy harvesting is over. It's over when you say it's over, but you have got to take action as the person who knows it's over. So what are you gonna do? For some of you, it is, I'm not listened to here, because this could be it. I'm not listened to. The Five of Swords can say that things are not being heard. So instead of continuing to engage in spaces where I'm not listened to, I'm packing it up and I'm getting out of here. I'm preserving my energy for me. I'm preserving my skills, my talents, my time for somewhere else. Maybe we don't even know where we're going, but what we do know is we're not going back here. The pattern is clear now, because now that I'm hearing this energy harvesting as the strongest phrase, this was the problem. Maybe in our youth, we were conditioned to be perpetually accessible. Because this could also be talking about, with Scorpio energy and shared resources, this could be talking about the different ways we knew how to resource for others. This is why we maybe didn't have an identity of our own. And then the moment we decided to resource for us, for ourselves, that resulted in a lot of tangible changes. But mainly that you least had yourself to yourself. Some of us didn't see for a long time that all of the disconnecting, all of the rejection was an opportunity for us to get back to us. It was a chance for some of us to find us in the first place. The illusion, the chaos, the temptation to disengage from you and allow your, again, energy to be harvested by others. Let it reveal itself to you how easy that can happen. Don't be ashamed. Don't condition yourself all over again. Observe. Observe what is in the environment. Because I think for some of you, it's your job. Others of you, it's members of your family. Others of you, it's friends. Friends. Energy harvesting can also, if we're going to look at air and even social platforms, spend less time on your phone. Spend less time in front of the TV. Spend less time swiping, scrolling, just a little bit less. Because there's something that has taken up so much of your time and energy, and you've gone through a massive upgrade. But whatever's coming up now, you're ready to address it. So with that, let's go ahead and look at the potential outcome here. Hey! Master of the emotional realm. Double water. Paired with, Ace of Swords, honey. And we got 3 cards here, huh? And then the 4 of Wands. The results can look like you being very comfortable. When you decide you want something, you actually expect it to show up in a way that you can celebrate. You see, this is about feeling good, being of service, so that you feel good when you show up. In fact, I talk about isolation often with the Queen of Cups. So not only can we feel good alone, we can feel good when we're connected to people too. You see, when we choose ourselves, when we start preserving our energy for us, then we can start showing up for communities that also honor us. In this space, there's harmony. In this space, there is celebration. What's in this space? I think that's the point for enough of us this time around, is to just take stock and observe what is continuing to harvest my energy, or what in this season of my life is depriving me of being able to preserve more, accumulate more, and compound that into something constructive. And how can I engage in more spaces and communities that allow me to be the inner alchemist, that respect my sensitivities, that respect my feelings, my emotions, that respect what I have to say, respect my ideas. I just heard where I don't feel cut off. This is cutting off. And you may experience a situation where you feel cut off, and that's it's this relationship, or it's relationships like this. It's this space, it's this job, it's this value system, it's this tradition. Oh my gosh, it's going to be very, very clear to you. Very clear. What respects you, what honors you. And I think that for enough of you, this is also talking about you being comfortable with where you're at, being comfortable with the decisions you've made, being comfortable being alone, and obviously connected to others who respect you. But this is speaking up. This is trusting your own word. You see, this double water, the master, this is the integrity in practice and the result of the integrity. The potential outcome shows here that you can embrace the role of being the person who is any label that you choose to assign to yourself. And if you are not assigning the label, then you can also be the person who decides to disengage from whatever it is. You are allowed to be the person who is without, I'm going to bring up the court here, and with labels. But you decide what they are. And there are good results from you deciding who you're going to be. There are great results that can come from you owning the fact that you may be the source. You may be the person who's coming up with all the ideas, the intellectual property, the ways to create movements. You may realize and start to own, if I'm this needed, but also this disrespected, why don't I just remove myself from the equation? Why don't I just remove the disrespect from the equation? I mean, I've already proven to myself I know how. I've done it, and I've experienced this before. And what you are doing here as the Queen of Cups, what you can do here is make sure that this solitude that we picked up in the past, that maybe was threatening before, it is your power move now to disengage. Isolation isn't a problem. Isolation is the power move. And then when you remove yourself from the bullshit and you said, I decide, you expect to be heard. You expect to be heard. And those who hear you celebrate with you. Those who hear you want to also marry to your ideas. Those who hear you want you to step up, be seen, be under the light, and grow. You're doing a great job. Do not allow challenges to threaten the work that you've already done. Do not be afraid of deciding who you're going to be this season, who you're going to be today, who you're going to be tomorrow. Don't be afraid. Because on the other side of the worst case scenario is the best case scenario. You can remember that. That's an option. But it's hard to when you're constantly trying to figure out, where's my energy going? Why am I too tired? Why am I too exhausted? There's harvesting going on. Allow yourself to see what it is. And if a lot of emotions come up, remember, you can process them. You can transform those emotions into something that translates to a book, to a post that gets you a lot of attention. Maybe it's going viral for some of you. It can lead you and your voice in the spaces that want to hear you. Let me rephrase that. When you speak, this is more than expecting to be heard now. When you speak, you expect results that are in your favor. That are in your favor. You expect results that will not only, that are not only worthy of celebrating, but that celebrate you. It uplifts you. It uplifts you for sure. And that Four of Wands, for looking at fire, can resonate with Aries. And what have we been talking about in the past? Trying to adopt that identity. No more identity politics internally for you, or maybe in your environment. You can choose. You can choose the identity that works for you, and there you have it. You will also connect to environments, to opportunities, pathways, people, resources that uplift you as well. Okay? So with that being said, I intend that this reading was validating. I intend that it was helpful, that it's cheerleading you to feel more confident in what can result from deciding what is best for you. And some of you, it's learning how to say no, or it's learning how to disengage properly. In some cases for good. I intend that you feel confident being able to decide for yourself. I intend that you feel confident showing up for maybe the version of you who's been trying to come out and figure out how to become the master of their emotions, or to emotionally regulate, another way to phrase that. You have shown up for yourself time and time again. You don't need to be a part of this. You have too much evidence that it's a waste of your time. You're allowed to move on. And I intend that many of you do, confidently. And if this Ace of Swords is like a terms of service, that you have your own internally, and that you abide by that. Okay? So, with that being said, I thank you so much for joining me. My name is Maya, and if you want a personal reading from me, you can book a reading with me. The information's in my description. I am grateful to be here, to be a messenger. It's a privilege, and I love you very much. So, until next time.